Presented by Cyber Reason. I'm Christian Arcan in for Hardy. Mike Dussault is here. Paul Perillo is around here somewhere.
I think he's in makeup.
The Patriots lose to the Vegas Raiders 23-6 in your preseason finale. Mike, it was a tough game. It's been a tough summer. This is alarming. I'm sorry. I know it's the preseason and you can only read so much into it, but there is very little on the positive side to read into anything that we've seen so far from camp, from practice, from joint practice, from any of these games. I'm struggling, honestly. I was going over my notes from the pen. There's, a couple of plays that worked here and there, but all in all, this has been a disaster.
Yeah, well, they've been consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say they've been consistent. It's all kind of looked the same. It's disheartening, and you thought that there'd be some kind of improvement this summer. I just haven't seen it. It all has looked kind of the same. I thought tonight the big plays against the defense was striking. They've at least been a little bit of the saving grace with their pressure and their ability to at least control some of the things. But we've been seeing the same thing all summer. They cannot really stack any kind of success, find any kind of rhythm on offense. Mac, it does not seem like he's seeing the field. I'm seeing numerous screenshots right now of the interception, and there's like 6 guys around Kendrick Bourne before he threw it. So. I thought
that interception was terrible.
It was terrible, and I thought, I think one of the most telling things to me was just Bill Belichick at halftime expressing how, I forget exactly what the quote is right now of what he said, but
we haven't done anything, we haven't played anything really well.
Said not our best half.
Not our best half.
I mean, I think that to me in a preseason game spoke volumes of his dissatisfaction with the way the team played, especially coming off of 2 days against the Raiders. You thought, hey, maybe they're finding something here. It went back to exactly what it's been most of the summer. They don't have anything.
Yeah, and I talked about the interception a little bit on air, and Mike, I'm not sure that Zoe, knew exactly what I was talking about, but I know you do because you and I talk about it all the time. It's one of those, I'm going to move a little bit this way and throw it back a little bit that way. And John Elway can do that. Not very many others can. And Mac threw this interception a lot in training camp. And it's not even – look, he clearly didn't see the linebacker. I understand. But the larger point is all the other guys that were around. Yeah. Someone was coming underneath Kendrick Bourne and probably was going to pick that off if the linebacker wasn't there. That's what happens when you throw it back across your body. It's a difficult play to make.
You've said it so many times, Paul. You've talked about this so many times.
I thought he was like chastising.
No, you're right. I mean, you brought
Stop talking about the same thing, Paul.
No, but you've brought this point up multiple times, and it's something that continues to happen.
It's sort of like a flashback, to a weak-armed high school quarterback that, tried to do stupid things and couldn't get away with it, Obviously, it's a much different level. I'm not trying to say that, but yeah, it was disappointing. His frustration, I thought, really showed tonight. You saw him a couple of times, rifling around. I think he had threw the Surface tablet down once. I think the guys, Bob and Zoe, talked about him with the wristband.
Yeah, he ripped that off too. Yeah,
ripped that off when he was done for the night. Even the one drive they put together that was quality. Even you got to convert a 4th and 3 from like the 45-yard line. I actually thought he did a really good job, with the exception of the very first sack. I thought he did a good job of moving around the pocket and avoiding pressure tonight. I thought the scramble was a nice run, but there were very few plays tonight that I thought looked like the way they were supposed to look. And that's kind of what we've been talking about all summer.
The part of it, too, that bugged me with the interception was, I felt like he had Bourne. He had him. He had a window to throw it, and it feeds into this, is he seeing it? Is he doing what they need, the way that they want it? I don't know. He doesn't look – I don't want to say he doesn't look like the same player, but he's not playing at the same level he was last summer. And, look, they got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to figure it out. And I think at this point, if you've watched all the practices and the games – you're kind of just magically hoping that somehow in the next 2 weeks they're able to pull it together with game planning. And, it's hard to see right now, and it's hard to feel overly positive about the direction of the team going into the season.
You mentioned last summer, and I think that's a great sort of point. Mac Jones last summer, I feel like, was much better than this Mac Jones that we're seeing, and that's such a scary proposition, isn't it? I mean, if Mac Jones, and I know that it wasn't a high bar to clear last year, what do you have to do? Beat out Cam Newton? Not exactly splitting the atom here. Cam Newton didn't have a lot left in the tank, and that's all he had to do. But it's not even so much that he beat Cam Newton, it's that he looked better. He was completing more passes. He was more comfortable. He was more confident. He wasn't, frustrated and slamming his surfaces and stuff everywhere after every play, which I feel like he's been doing from practice to camp to everything.
Right.
It's not been a good start for him. And again, these games don't count, and we know that, and that's fine. But there has to be something to hold on to here, and there's nothing.
I know, and like, there's part of you that wants to be like, well, it's the preseason. I'm sorry, this is their team right now.
Yeah.
This is what they have looked like almost for 95% of the summer. They have offensively, they get the ball, they make maybe one play, and it's incompletions. They don't look like they're on the same page. I don't know what it's going to look like down in Miami in a couple weeks. I mean, I assume that they're going to lean into the spread stuff, which is, I think as Paul pointed out, I think on the fourth drive they just said, screw it, spread them out, and let's try to maybe find some kind of rhythm. But, again, even still, they needed the fourth down conversion. You go back to the other drive when Mac had to scramble. We've seen plenty of that this summer where he tucks it and has to run because nobody's open. I'm kind of struggling for the words to to accurately describe what this is and, where they go from here and going into the season.
Yeah, and, part of it is, it is new, right? So, like, I thought Jarrett Stidham on the other side looked pretty comfortable. Well, he should. He's in an offense that he's been in now, 4 years?
Yeah.
So, he should have looked pretty good. Now, I'm not excusing it away. I'm not believe me, I'm not trying to do that. But I do think that there is problems with the offensive line still. I think you saw it on those zone runs that we highlighted early in the broadcast, and they're getting nothing out of those. You start off with the same play that they did last week on the quick slant to Devontae Parker. Only this one Mac puts right on him. Bang. 9 yards. Second and short. Zone run, -4. Third and long. Sack. Like, those are killers. So they got to figure out how they want to run the ball. And this is what I mean. Like, I don't think they're going to just scrap the offense. But they might have to scrap the zone runs until they figure out how to run them.
Yeah.
How to execute them. Cole Strange, the first one was really bad. The first one you had Henry and Smith next to Trent Brown on the left side. So you overloaded to the left side. Here we come, zone run, second and short. Cole Strange whiffs. Then they run one to the right side. Michael Onwenu whiffs and gets called for holding. Then the next time, Michael Onwenu whiffs again, and you probably netted like -5 yards on those three, not even counting the penalty yards, just the plays.
Right.
-5 on those three zone runs. You can't lose yards. You can't have those negative plays in the run game.
No, and I think, and it goes to Christian's point from the pregame show, and that is what is, I think, the scariest of all, is that I have fading confidence in this offensive line, and I don't know how it's going to get better. I don't really believe that they have a coaching staff in place for the offensive line that is proven, that gives you hope of, Dante will fix it. And if it can't get better, they're not going anywhere. If they can't block a run or give Mac the kind of protection that he's going to need, it's going to blow the whole thing up before it even starts.
You mentioned Jarrett Stidham, Paul. I think we all know what next week's going to be like with the Jarrett Stidham played better than Mac Jones takes, which are true, by the way.
That'll be for your station.
It sure will, and it should be. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. I mean, that happened.
There's no doubt he played better than Mac tonight. Do you want him over Mac?
I mean,
I personally,
he was against the starters.
That to me is 6-1, half dozen the other. I don't.
At this point, I'm kind of with you, but that's also not great. The fact that it's pretty much equal. Jarrett Stidham did what he did against the Patriots starters while Mac got sacked twice by the backup defensive end. You didn't have Max Crosby and Chandler Jones out there.
Oh, you're right.
You had the tackles
Absolutely.
getting beat by the second stringers. You had him throwing picks to
that
second
first
string.
sack, Mac completely created.
Oh,
yeah.
There was
not filling the pocket.
There was no pressure there.
Yeah.
And he moved out. Not only he moved out to where the only guy was flashing, he kind of got taken down, I thought, by a weak tackle.
Yeah,
He just kind of like, maybe I didn't
Kinda
really
tripped him
get a
up a
good
little
look.
bit.
Maybe he tripped him. Maybe that's unfair. To your point, Mike. Maybe he did trip him, and that's why. I thought that sack was on Mac. Zoe pointed it out too, and I think Zoe knows a little something about pocket
Getting
presence.
sacked? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Coughing it up. No,
Making a bad play?
listen, it wasn't good. I mean, we can sit here and try to put
Pretty fast, though, right there.
Yeah, that was a good run. That was a good scramble by Mac.
That's probably his best play of the game.
But that that was I think they pointed out man-to-man coverage. He recognized it, stepped into the seam, and that was 3rd and long too. That was like a 3rd and 10 that he converted with a nice scramble. Just not enough not enough quality plays.
The phone number is 855-PATS-500. You can email us at webradio@patriots.com. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot to say about this game here, as it's Patriots Postgame, presented by Cyber Reason. It's the type of game that I feel like there's going to be a strong reaction to, because we got some time now until Miami on the 11th.
Oh,
there's a lot of time.
It's going to marinate for 2 weeks.
This is going to leave a mark. This is going to hover over everything.
I mean, you said it too. I mean, we just talked about the offense for the first whatever it is here, but I mean the defense.
The defense got schooled.
Giving up the big plays.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff that's disheartening. The defense has been pretty good this summer, I thought, and tonight I thought was the worst that they've looked.
So let's move it. On that line, Mike, because I agree with you. I think the defense struggled. Let's get to good, bad, and the injured, because I think this might take a while.
Now it's time for the good.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
The bad.
Hey, what happened?
And the injured.
You all right, guy?
This is where you say the good and the bad and the injured is sponsored by the good, the bad, and the injured players.
There you go. Good, the bad, and the injured is sponsored by all those good, bad, and injured players. I guess we'll start with the good. This probably won't take too long. I'll give you one good. Jack Jones, I thought, played really well.
I had him. He was around the ball a lot.
I had Jack Jones on my list, so that's unanimous.
Showing some energy too. Like it's just
aggressive.
There was a lot of a lot of moping from players, rightly so probably. But I thought Jack Jones was one of the guys that you looked like he was playing intense and he was out there with a purpose. And I think that's a good one. I had him too. We'll see how high he can get. How much does he elevate and get a chance? I mean, you just wonder with a lot of these guys kind of playing flat, is it going to open up opportunities for guys like Jack Jones? Terrence Mitchell, for example, getting picked on a little bit in that big passing play. So liked a lot of what I saw to Jack.
Yeah. I don't have any more good ones. So.
I mean,
I don't know if you guys.
I got one more.
Listen, I have a few, but they're mostly like kind of individual plays more so than anything.
Okay.
I thought really nice aggressive run blitz by Kyle Duggar on the first series. It's 3rd and goal from inside the 5.
Yeah, after he blew the coverage in the.
All right. Okay. Maybe he shows up later on the list.
He
does.
Oh, he showed me the list.
He does. But I thought that was
good play behind the line of scrimmage.
That's a 4-point play.
Yeah.
They have a drive going to start the game, and you come up with a play to sort of stem the tide and make it a 3-point game instead of a 7-point game. I thought that was a good aggressive run blitz.
Good play. I'm going to put Anthony Jennings on there. I thought he was doing what he did all summer. I thought he was aggressive. He was disruptive up front, strong guy. You just see that he has real NFL potential. I like him a lot. I think he's going to have to probably play a pretty big role this year opposite of Judon. If anything happens to Judon, I think it's even going to be more on him. So he was my other good for the night.
So, Christian, do you really not have any more? And I'm not making fun of you.
No, I honestly don't.
I mean, we've had games that literally we've gone like 2 seconds on either a good or a bad list. Like,
I got one more.
When they beat the Jets like 58-0, we don't spend a lot of time in the bad list.
Yeah, I'm sure. I
have more.
Yeah.
But,
well, you know what?
Let
me tell you this. I wanted to put Harris on there,
Yeah.
but he fumbled at the end of the round.
Yeah,
I know it wasn't a real fumble,
I
but I didn't like that.
I still put both. What do you mean you know it wasn't a real fumble? That was absolutely a fumble.
Yeah, he fumbled.
Kevin
the second
Harris?
one. That one
Harris,
was
I thought that was
the first one.
The ground
that
caused
was
it.
Oh,
no,
the
that was
first one, the
Then
ground
he
caused the
coughed it
fumble.
up
The
later.
second one,
Oh, he fumbled again. I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
I must have missed the second one.
It was in trash time, but yeah.
Okay,
But,
well,
but,
then
I,
never
but
mind.
I do,
Sorry.
like I do
then
have
he's
both.
off.
Mike, you and I were calling for a flash from the 2 rookie running
And
backs.
there it was.
I think we
That-
saw a little
that
bit of that.
33-yard run, yeah.
So, yes, the fumble, as Vinny Sinceri said, we can't have that. We can't. And I would even say, even though it was down by contact, that's 2 of his runs. He didn't end up with the ball.
100%.
That's the cardinal rule for Belichick.
Yep.
Make sure you finish. If you have the ball in your hands, make sure you finish the play with the ball in your hands. So I want to put them both on the good list. I did see flashes from Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna put them
did
on
you
there
see stuff
anyway.
from Pierre Harris? I
I thought some toughness on the 2 little dump offs, the check downs over the middle.
Yeah.
Moved the pile forward, got the first down. I know the touchdown run got called back. I thought he showed some toughness on that.
A little bit.
And Harris, I thought, had 2 really good runs in the game.
He did. I was hoping that big touchdown run was going to be a touch. It's just unfortunate. The only other one I really had was just J.J. Taylor jumping on the fumble, getting in there, getting scrappy.
I just thought he was active in
Yeah.
the game, and we're going to get to it later. He could become an important guy suddenly.
Absolutely. What else you got, Paul? That's about it from me.
I
know we're probably getting specific plays now.
Yeah, I mean, I did see sort of, that whole quickness, speed element thing that we've been talking about, on defense.
Yeah.
I saw Raekwon McMillan, quickly close on the outside on a pass that looked like it was going to be an easy, you get backed up in your own territory, you leak the back out, you get an easy first down, get some breathing room. Instead of, a 12-yard gain, it was a 6-yard gain or a 7-yard gain, and they're able to come up with a sack on third down and get off the field. Judon had the sack on that. So, I again, individual plays.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a whole lot. I thought the second and third units that were out there late were pretty good in short yardage run defense.
Yeah, some of those guys
I
up
put
front,
that on there.
Equale,
Jeremiah Farms, Equale.
Yep. Yeah, maybe making a little bit of a push there, some of those guys, or at least. But, I mean, hard overall, though, I would say, to, like, pick out any bubble guys and be like, wow, he really made a statement tonight. Like, there wasn't really any of that. Like, spotty plays, but, nobody rising up to the occasion.
All right, we can get to bad right now. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, so if someone else wants to get the ball rolling with bad, you can. Otherwise, I can give you my worst one.
Go ahead.
The tackles, the offensive tackles, I thought were brutal in this game. Isaiah Wynn getting beat by Kuntz on that first series, which was the sack that wasn't a great play by Mac Jones either, but Wynn got really beat badly. And then on the other sack, on the field goal, I think that was Brown who got beat on that one. So both the tackles ended up getting beat by backups. And my number one key to the game was protecting Mac Jones, which it's not like he was getting killed out there, but come on.
Oh no, but he was under pressure.
He was under siege a couple of times. Yeah,
he was under. I think he only got sacked twice, but he only played 25 plays again.
Yeah,
this is what I was talking about with those practices. They're telling me, it was 4 or 5 sacks. That's a lot.
Yeah, and the pocket fell apart in the interception too. So I mean, there's 3 big plays right there where the offensive line didn't do their job.
It's honestly like the biggest thing I think I'm worried about right now is the plays, and I try not to buy too much into the hype of guys not being engaged and believing in this, but I have real concerns about how Isaiah Wynn and Trent Brown feel right now about blocking for the next 17 regular season games and what that could potentially mean to the offense.
Well, and then I think both of those guys have struggled. You guys just talked about them. Then look what happens when they come out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think very many of their linemen have had a worse summer than Justin Herron. I mean, all of them. I mean, penalties, pass protection issues, injuries. I don't know how you feel great about it. To me, Kajust has been a better player. If only one of those guys stays, I think it's got to be Kajust.
I just question the intensity of it. I mean, I don't know. Just watching Wynn get walked around by these backups, it's like, what? I mean, Max Crosby. I mean, the guys that they have to face this year, it's a murderer's row up front.
Von Miller.
I mean, Von Miller. Like,
know,
how do we feel
division?
about that one?
Come on.
They got to find something on the offensive line. And I mean, as we're talked about today, there's nobody out there. There's nobody coming to save this offensive line. Like, they have to either figure it out or they are in for a long season.
And I talked about those zone runs and the problems that Onwenu and Strange had on those. The running game, just nothing again. The offensive line is to the point, and I'm not a big, oh my God, what are we going to do about the offensive line guy? But, oh my God, what are we going to do about the offensive line? I usually tell you to do that in your own time. But
Yeah.
You want me to go next?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of time for bad, so you might as well.
I mean, last week I let the other guys do it, but Mac, I mean, I just, it's just hasn't improved. It hasn't been good enough. He hasn't seen it. It's just not there. And it's funny is I in my head I'm like, everyone talks about year 2 jump. What about the sophomore slump? Like that's a thing too.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, ask him.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is right now, but I mean, the frustration that you see on him, it just confirms everything that you feel while you're watching it, because I look at Mac's face, and that's how I feel with how it's unfolding out there. I give him a little bit of a pass as far as things changing on offense, but they've been at it for a while now. They've been at it the whole offseason. It has not looked any better. And as much as we want to cling to some joint practice performances at the end of drills, this is it. This has been the whole summer. There's never once been that actual, wow, today they really got it. They haven't gotten it. We'll see what it looks like in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I had Mac there too. I just wrote 10 looks, a word that you can't say. On the,
Poopy.
And he played 25 plays, counting penalties. And I'd say if you're stretching it, 4 or 5 of them were good play. Like, looked good. I thought just running around. I just think that the offense is really searching for answers right now. They look like they, I think Christian brought it up in the pregame about are they buying in. They don't look like they believe.
That's and that's what I was kind of getting at with Wynn and Trent. I don't usually buy into that stuff. Like, let's see how it goes. This is the beginning of the season. There's a long way to go. There's a lot of battles to be fought and ups and downs, and you hope that this team's going to stick together. But in reading what Giardi tweeted about how the team has to believe, like they have to see it to believe it. Well, they sure didn't see it tonight. So yeah.
And I did have Kyle Duggar down as my first one.
He giveth and he taketh.
That's exact. But that's exactly what we talk about.
Great
Kyle
against
Duggar.
the run, but
right. He's a physical guy. Yeah. He'll blow up a guard. You run a toss sweep in his direction, he'll come in and he'll wreck house. But he's got to. If you're going to be a safety and you're going to be a quality safety, you got to at least be competitive in coverage, and he's not.
Before we move off of Mac, I just wanted to point out one other thing, and that is, I know, but the other thing about Mac, and I couldn't help but sort of think about this more with Josh McDaniels over on the other sideline, is that last year, especially in camp and in the preseason games, it seems like when Mac had a bad series, McDaniels would be there with him, they'd talk it over, he'd go back out, he'd be better the next time. Like, I remember, like, distinctly him having, and it was during the regular season, too. He'd have a bad series in the regular season game. He'd be there. You'd see McDaniels right next to him, and they'd be talking the entire time the defense is out there. They go back out there, and generally, not every time, but generally Mac looked better. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that improvement. I didn't see any of the coaches sort of around him in between. You saw him, getting all pissed and everything like that. But it was a very different dynamic on the sideline and not one that I think is helping Mac at all. I don't think it's doing him any favors, and I think you're really seeing it now. And the fact that it happened in front of McDaniels, I think, is almost poetic if you think about it. Like,
he probably feels bad for him.
Yeah.
He's like, bud, hang in there. It's going to be a long season for you.
All right, you want to take some calls?
No, we're not done.
We're not? All right.
So one of my favorite guys this summer, I've talked about him at length, is Marcus Jones, right?
Oh, we didn't even get to injured yet.
So
we got so much more to
Marcus Jones is the guy that I want to see return punts.
Mm-hmm.
This is 2 weeks in a row he didn't finish a punt return with the ball. I'd like to see a replay of that one because I think he fumbled on that when they called him down by contact. They never really showed a replay. Last week he had a ball that wasn't his fault. He got banged into, but then he had another one that he bobbled and had to pick it up. If he's going to be the punt returner, he's got to be more secure with the football. I think the guy can be special. I love the guy's athleticism. He's my favorite rookie so far. But he's got to be better with ball security. Now, I did like him in coverage. I thought he was really competitive. Even the catch that Zuber made, he was all over him.
Yeah. We got to go talk to Matt LePan about that one. Matt LePan was a little hard on him for that one.
On Marcus Jones? What else could he have done?
Well, we'll get LePan in here to explain.
I like Zuber's interception.
We don't need
what
that.
A play that was.
We don't need that. The Terrence Mitchell play can't happen. Clearly that was a breakdown in communication.
Yep.
Mitchell, as veterans are wont to do, immediately looks. What happened? Where's my safety?
Yeah, no. I think that's the secret, though, of preseason. You make a bad play, you got to look around, be like, it must not have been his fault. He was looking around.
That's otherwise known as the Sean Springs invitation.
And I think that was Garber's first play, right? He comes out there.
Oh yeah, he threw a punt. It should have been a touchdown.
Away.
I mean, that thing hung in the air forever. It was like a hot air balloon.
I actually thought that kid, for a rookie, I thought he looked reasonably solid.
Looked better than Zapper.
The Zapper.
The Zap man.
The injured is not good.
Not good.
This
Bob.
did not look. I mean, am I the only one? I mean, this doesn't look good.
No, I mean,
well, when the card comes out,
Montgomery looks like significant ankle injury.
Yeah.
I mean, and all we've been talking about all summer is what a key piece it seems like. I mean, I think we said it on the pregame show. What a significant piece it seems like he's going to be, and that's just a blow. I mean, do you have a receiving back now? Is it going to thrust Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris or J.J. Taylor into the spotlight? Harris is dinged up too. Damian Harris didn't play.
Right.
So what are you going into week one with? Maybe one healthy Ramondre Stevenson and a rookie or J.J. Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, that looked like a significant ankle injury. I guess maybe you hope it's just like a bad sprain, like maybe a high sprain instead of a
the whole
fracture.
season. But either way, it looked like he's out for a while.
It looks bad. It looked bad. I think J.J. Taylor comes back into the picture. I think most people, myself included, had him on the outside looking in. I think he's got to stick around because I don't think you can rely on either one of these rookies yet.
No.
To fill a role.
And then there's Meyers, who went into the tent too, which is, I mean, that's just as big.
Are you with me? I know we talked at halftime. I thought he looked like he went down awkwardly on that catch.
Oh no, it looked like he was.
And that was another one. Like when I said like out of the 25 plays, so few of them looked right. That was one that didn't look right. Like he was kind of lunging and like
it was awkward.
He looked like he was sitting in a zone and Mac's throw was out in front of him, and he ended up getting buried. Like
I absolutely saw him at the end of that play, like dealing with something. Another guy looking down on the camera, cut away, and I was waiting for some kind of thing, and then I just heard that. But again, I mean, you're talking about they haven't had much on offense this summer. The two maybe consistent pieces you had have been Ty Montgomery and Jakobi Meyers, and then to lose both of them within the first 10 minutes of the game. It's hard to imagine how much worse this game could have looked between injuries, between lack of production, between turnovers, between stupid mistakes. It's just
and I said it in the pregame show. Like I mean, understanding that injuries are part of it, but just if you're going to have injuries, don't and I said it with all due respect, please don't have it be somewhat of significance. And unfortunately, it was. I think that's a big loss. I don't want to overstate it. It was a third down, but whatever. But I think he was going to play a big role in the offense. We don't know what the extent of the injury is. I don't want to write his season off yet.
But anytime a guy gets carted off,
we'll see.
It's
Ian Rappaport will have it soon. That's unfortunate. And Meyers, hopefully that's nothing too significant. Kevin Harris looked like he got dinged up on that first long run, but he came back in the game. So.
And just to say, too, I mean, Asiasi not playing, that's, a guy didn't get injured during it, but
I think he's in trouble. I think he's in significant trouble.
And Wade too. I don't think Wade played at all too. So two guys like really on the bubble.
And you said it in the pregame. He's dealing. Both of those guys are fighting for their roster lives and bad timing. Now, sometimes those can work in their advantage. Maybe they make it and immediately get put on IR. Someone else takes their spot. Who knows?
I mean, the only thing they have going for them is that I don't really have like 60 guys that I'm trying to figure out how to fit on the 53-man roster. Like,
no, that's why I was making fun of him on the broadcast tonight. Like, I had my first the first time I pared the roster down, I think I ended up with 50 guys, and I had to add 3. I think I added LeBrian Ray, was one, and they had like 59. I'm like, you couldn't find a way.
You got to have Lil Jordan on there. You got to have him.
Well, they had Lil Jordan Humphrey and Devin Asiasi at tight end. And I'm like, do you need both of those guys, really? James Ferentz and Cody Russi. Like,
that's another one I don't get. I don't get the Cody Russi of it all.
Well, here's the thing I don't get.
People are like, he's really coming on. I'm like, what?
He has a way with words, Mike.
That's pretty good.
Listen, he might be a quality offensive lineman, but you're telling me that you can't reasonably be secure that you can get an undrafted rookie interior or offensive lineman onto the practice squad?
Who's like 5'11"?
Okay. now he's just being mean.
Well, I mean,
see, this is the best part, Christian. Because I know you're gonna sub at least once or twice for Hardy during the season too, right? This is not your only time,
unless
right?
you go up to Fred and say that don't let him back in.
Oh no.
We kept talking over Matt's intros.
We don't do that because if we do that, then Paul ends up having to host, and that's just a nightmare.
Well, okay.
I haven't hosted since we brought Adam Jones in several years ago.
Who?
So
never heard of him.
Young and up and comer. You'll hear more from him.
There's nothing like Mike Dussault after a loss.
Oh yeah,
in the pregame show.
I get dark.
It's just.
Well, you got a preview of it on Tuesday. I guess I was right. Maybe I should have wandered into the desert as was rumored to happen, and take some peyote and go on a spiritual journey to figure out what the 2022
or the
picture.
Aaron Rodgers.
What's that thing? Yeah, what's that called?
Ayahuasca.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even attempt it. I didn't even attempt that one. Like, just give me peyote or.
You and Hunter S. Thompson out there driving through Bat County.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's
looks like
Fear
Mac
and Loathing.
Jones is talking right now. We'll probably hear from this a little bit later. We'll hear from Bill as well.
Yeah.
And get what they have to say. I can't imagine what Mac Jones is thinking right now, honestly.
probably in stuff, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, it was a really tough game, you guys. I did. My Mac Jones impression is like Marty McFly. That's what I'm like shooting for. I feel like he has a very strong Marty McFly vibe when he talks.
I like that.
But yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what's going through his mind right now, because it's been almost a bizarro version of last year. I mean, really, that's what it seems like this year's been for him.
Frustrating because I mean, I know these guys work hard. I mean, this is a really hard sport, and they demand a lot here. And to have worked this long and this hard and to just not be able to put the results together, it's frustrating. I imagine that they're super frustrated. And I think the question really is like, can you hit the reset button for the next 2 weeks and suddenly find something to go down to Miami, a difficult place to play against a team that swept you last year?
Yeah.
It's a huge challenge, and it is a murderer's row of opponents right out of the gate, and they better find something quick, or it is going to be they're going to be up against it before very long.
And I would say, and I know Zoe and Bob made a lot of mentions of the lack of game planning and whatnot. I think that is part of the equation to an extent. I'm not as, enamored with that whole thing as other people are, because I think in large part what it comes down to is, players playing against each other, and other teams' backup shouldn't be neutralizing your starters.
Consistently.
And that's happened consistently in this summer. But at the same time, I do also account for the fact that when it is game planned up, and I mentioned the zone runs, I don't think Bill's not stubborn like that, where he's just going to run his head into a wall if it's not working. He's going to figure out some other ways to run the football. Ramondre Stevenson's a good running back. Damian Harris is a good running back. He's going to figure out a way to get these guys going and be more productive on the ground. But yeah, it's hard right now to look at those kinds of outlooks and be as positive about it. And you're right, Mike. I mean, they don't have a lot of time to wade into the season with 3 road games in the first 4 weeks, including trips to Miami and Green Bay, which,
I mean, just pick your poison.
Not easy.
I mean, Christian Wilkins against this offensive line. Then you go to T.J. Watt against this offensive line. I mean, I don't want to be like, good luck, but, man, it's I don't know. It's going to be a true test to see what they come out with in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's not looking great. We want to thank Cyber Reason, by the way, presenters of Patriots Postgame Show. Great defenders don't just play in the field. They're also protecting your company and your data. Cyber Reason on a mission to end ransomware and keep your business undefeated against cyber attacks. Learn more at cyberreason.com/ransom. All right, should we turn it over to the listeners now?
Let them
hear
let
from
them
the
go.
people.
Unleash the hounds.
We'll unleash the hounds here, and we'll begin with the person who's been waiting the longest. We'll be diplomatic about it. That would be Sean, who is out in Vancouver, who would like to sound off on this game. Hello, Sean. How are you?
Hey, could be better. Now, Montgomery looks like he's going to be out for a while, as you mentioned. And, Paul, you were saying J.J. Taylor looks like he could fill that role. I like his speed. He catches a ball. But I'm just wondering, what do you think he'd be like in pass protection?
Right, especially when you have an offensive line that hasn't been so great at pass protection. So you know that he's probably going to have some guys to pick up.
He had a good one last week, right? He had a good pass protection block. I don't think that he can be I think they wanted to use Stevenson and Montgomery and Harris, and when they were out there involved as 3-down guys. I don't think Taylor is a good candidate for that. Now he can
run. You're right back to where
he
you
can
kind
run
of started
the ball.
from.
He can run the ball, but I don't think you want to line up on first down and tell everybody you're running and say, here comes J.J. Taylor on a consistent basis.
We kind of missed him last year, didn't we? Was that kind of like it was he fumbled and we felt like he showed some sparks.
He was periodically involved early in the season. Against Tampa Bay, he fumbled. We never saw him again.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Stevenson tonight?
Fine. I mean,
4 yards
a couple
right,
carries where you showed a little bit.
Here's
but
another one like that. And this is one of the 4 or 5 good plays.
That big run that set up the field goal was a nice one.
Yeah, he gets a 12-yard run. And even that has to be after a penalty. It's like 1st and 18 or whatever it was, and he rips off. And everybody in the world is saying, well, they're not going to run the ball here. Right? And he has a 12-yard run. That was a really good run. I mean,
take that one from you too.
Part of it is I love Stevenson, so I'm going to look at the bright side on him.
But it's just not a lot to work with. These guys don't have.
I think his power and speed combo. I think he's explosive. I think I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, I hope so, especially if Harris is out for any extended period here, or if he's just not 100%. Be nice to see Stevenson or someone pick up the slack. Let's try William in Pennsylvania. William, go ahead.
How you doing, gentlemen?
What's up?
Yeah.
That's Willem and Philem. Sorry.
I like it.
Some of the regulars.
Where do I begin? Jesus Christ!
All right.
So you can't. So you can't make touchdowns. You made two field goals. Okay, the offensive line looked atrocious. Max was uncomfortable. Dude, it would look really nice to have Devontae Adams on our team, wouldn't it? Man, Jesus Christ.
One for the referees, we would have had 2 touchdowns.
I just feel like all this falls on Bill. Bottom line, you wanted to change the scheme. You didn't want to stay the way things was. I don't understand. If it ain't broke, why fix it? You know what I'm saying? And now it's just a mess. And if they go like Deuce said, if they do this in week 1, let me tell you, gentlemen, you're going to have one of the top 10 picks. You're not making the playoffs. And this is some serious questions that the Crafts need to sit Bill down and ask him what the hell's going on. Seriously.
Yeah.
Thanks, William.
I mean, it's hard to argue with what we've been watching, for 4 weeks. And I wish that I could say, well, in practice, they're all right. Like this is it. This is practice. This is joint practice. This is preseason games. This is what the Patriots offense has been the whole summer long. And you've seen minimal strides in any area. The running game doesn't work. The protection is suspect. And Mac doesn't seem to be seeing the field.
And you know what you saw a little bit, especially early in the game tonight, with when Mac and the first team was out there. And we talk about this a lot, too, at practice. A little dump down, a little check down.
Yeah.
Oh, and we always say, like, well, what do you made the tonight, the tackles were made by backups, no less. So there was very few, passes that traveled more than 10 yards that were caught. They tried a few, but most of them, didn't result in completions. And I'm talking about when Mac's in the game. I don't really, all due respect, I don't really care what happens when Bailey Zappi's throwing bombs to Trey Nixon and the ball's hitting him in the chest. Which, by the way, that was a penalty. That should have been pass interference.
Yeah.
But they just have no real ability to consistently get the ball down the field. It's all short, and then Hunter Henry's got to break a couple of tackles for a first down. He comes up just short. It's not a great way to live.
There's nothing on this offense that pushes the pace. Nothing. And that's what I think was intriguing about Thornton. I got a little bit of a glimpse of it on the Raiders side of the ball out at practices this week. But, and I wonder how much of it was, how much are we now missing Josh's designed offense that even despite the lack of plus athletes had the ability to get guys open and to make plays. And right now it doesn't feel like the plays that they're making, they're squeaking them out by the skin of their teeth. Hunter Henry had a couple, nice little catches here and there, but there's nothing really where, like I said, they're pushing the pace against where they're like, man, the Raiders can't hang with us. It's like you feel like you're lucky to get these handful of plays, and even then you're barely getting
I got to be honest. I really thought that they would have like 2 or 3 drives tonight and score on 2. Let's say they had 3 drives. I thought they would score on 2 of them. I'm like, the other team's playing backups. They've been hearing for weeks how much they're struggling. They finished on a good note on Wednesday. I thought for sure tonight
we're feeling good.
They would get the start. You had all the guys that are going to be out there on the 11th, right?
Yeah.
Brown, Strange, Andrews, Onwenu, and Wynn. Parker, Myers, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, and Damian Harris with Mac Jones. That's what you started with. Oh, not Damian Harris, signed it with Stevenson, but same. And you just couldn't get it going.
3 and out right out of the gate.
Yeah.
3 and out.
Second series started with a holding call. I actually thought after that play, the offense, there was 2 contested catches there in a row to get him back, and then Mac picked up the third down with the scramble there. And then they had 3 straight runs, and they were moving the ball. It wasn't great. You're right. It wasn't big chunk plays or anything, but it seemed like they were at least getting their feet under him a little bit. And then after 3 straight runs to set up the play action, Mac has this terrible throw. And, it in between the bookends of a holding call and a terrible interception, there was some semblance of an offense, but that's it.
You're right.
That's all you really have to
They
hold
did
on
have
to,
a little.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't love the way they got the first down, but 1st and 20, you got the first down. I don't really care how you get it. You're right. They did show a little bit of rhythm there for a second. and it was fleeting. And then it seemed like every time I was in the middle of talking, something really bad happened tonight. I don't. Maybe it was just me. Maybe that'll go away now because I don't think CBS will have me in the Bob's Discount Furniture Studio.
No, not anymore. You're out. You're out. Bob?
I don't think Nance and Roma. Well, Nance and Roma probably won't be doing any Patriots games. Never mind.
I had the rough experience where we had this little TV that's about 5 seconds ahead.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw the Mac interception happen before it did, and I'm like, oh guys, here it comes. Get ready. Like, getting to watch that one twice. It just, pictures of it popping up.
No good angle of it, that's for sure.
No good angle.
No good angle of that play.
Screenshots make it look even worse.
I still think. See, I'm not huge on the screenshot thing because I think you could do whatever you want on a screenshot. But I think if you watch that play as they show the replay from behind, he's sort of running a little bit right. He throws it back, and then you see the linebacker who he clearly doesn't see. But behind him, there's a guy coming, and he's sort of cutting underneath Bourne. I think he was going to pick it off.
Then he said, "Nah, you take it."
But the guy, he threw it right. He threw it right to the linebacker. In Mac's defense, I don't think he saw the linebacker. I'm not excusing him, but it's not like, I could get it there. I'm going to squeeze it right through him.
Could we chat a little bit about it?
Chat about anything
Can we
you
chat
want.
about something? What if Jakobi Meyers is out for a significant period of time? What is the impact of that? Because I think that's
that's a big impact. I think
significant. I don't know if that opens up. I haven't seen anything out of Trey Nixon. I don't really feel like.
I think he's trending in the wrong direction.
I think he's trending in the wrong direction. So it just kind of leaves you with Parker, Aguilar, and Bourne.
I feel like last year the two best passing plays, Jakobi Meyers threw the pass. That's bad for your passing offense and receiving.
I told Paul I had a little bit of a Paul snark when we were in Vegas watching the Raiders, and I turned to the other beat reporters and I said, "Geez, Josh might not have to have one of his wide receivers throw a pass this year."
So Bill Belichick just said something interesting, and I'm just reading off of Twitter. Phil Perry, we didn't have a real good game tonight. We didn't have a real good night tonight in any phase of the game. Might have left it all in the practice field. says they practiced much better. Mike?
Marginally better.
Okay.
Marginally.
I'm asking because I didn't see the practices.
Marginally. It's the same thing. They finished the two practices with 2-minute touchdown drives. And otherwise every session about this. Couple incompletions. Oh, that's a nice play. Run
couple
stuff.
Sacks.
Sack. All right. This is it. This is it.
Left it all out on the practice field. He really said that?
Might have left it all on the practice field. That's the quote according to Phil Perry.
Ugh.
And then Phil adds on his own, says they practiced much better.
I'm sure.
So Phil is clearly paraphrasing something that Bill said.
Defensively, I would say that they probably played significantly better. I just didn't think the pass rush was really there. I think the pass rush has been there all season long, and against the starters tonight, or Stidham tonight, they weren't really getting after him.
Stidham. They get after the kid a little bit, but even then, I thought he was a little slow to process at times.
Mm-hmm.
They had a couple of stunts that worked, and he ran into one of them. I thought the Judon sack he kind of ran into. And Bill also says he has no update on Ty Montgomery. No surprise there.
Right. All right. Let's take one more caller.
Your point about Jakobi Meyers is a good one. I don't know where they go. If they lose him, now you're talking about Parker, Aguilar, and Bourne, which is probably okay.
Yeah.
But Parker's got an injury history. Bourne's been really inconsistent. We don't really know exactly what Aguilar is. Not ideal.
No, certainly not ideal at all. Let's go to Paul in Florida, who has a thought on the game tonight. Paul, go ahead.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Tough night tonight. I don't know what the Patriots were doing.
Nope.
But I don't think it was just me, but it looked like Mac Jones had no chemistry out there with anybody.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
It was a strugll. No doubt about that.
Doesn't seem like he's feeling the offense right now. It doesn't seem like he's seeing the field the way he did last year.
Yeah, 100%. For offensive coordinator, who is calling the plays? Because we saw two people last week.
Did you see tonight if Patricia was?
I didn't really see it.
I
I saw Patricia calling some plays. I wasn't, I don't know. I couldn't really. lock in on that.
I read that it was Patricia was with the offensive line, and it looked like Judge may have been calling a couple plays in at some point.
So that's the
but
thing, right? Like like you said, he would go and sit with Josh, the architect of the offense,
Right.
and they'd work through the issues. And now Matt Patricia's calling the plays, and then he comes off the field and he's talking to Joe Judge. So I'm sure that
While
the
Patricia
messages
talks
are
to the lineman,
vaguely similar, but it's not the same person that's in your ear the whole game.
And even if it is like, listen, even if they pick one guy, right? Like I thought the way you just phrased that, Mike, is interesting. He used to sit with Josh, the architect of the offense. And, it wasn't Josh's offense, but he's been immersed in it for 20 years.
Yeah.
So he knows it. And Josh actually said, he goes, how lucky is it? It's the only system I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only system I've ever been in. So he had that, luxury last year. Even if it's one guy, let's just say it's Joe Judge. He's the guy. He's calling the plays. He's the guy that's going to sit next to Mac and talk him through it. This isn't Joe Judge's offense. He's never been in this offense. He doesn't know it any better than Mac knows it. Right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think you can make an argument that Mac knows it better than him.
Yeah, you could definitely make that
based
argument.
on Mac's experience as a quarterback. And Joe Judge has never really had that in the NFL. It's been special teams and the head coach.
And I hate to bring this up, but like Joe Judge is not exactly like the softest, like nurturing.
Oh, I thought he was giving it to Bailey Zappi pretty good after
I
his
saw
pick.
that. I saw that. And I know Mac has a history of working with tough coaches, and he's okay with that. But again, it's just what's going to get it out of him. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But it just is weird to me to have a play caller doing all that. It's not going well, and then he just goes over to the offensive line. I mean, in all fairness, he probably needs to be talking to the offensive line.
Yeah.
But again, he's trying to balance all of that. The message. I mean, how does Matt Patricia balance all of that as well of fixing the offensive line and then telling Joe Judge what to fix? Like, does he have to relay that to Joe Judge what he's seeing, or does Joe Judge just know? So it's just there's so many games of telephone going on that I just wonder how much the message is getting muddied, and I don't think that that's a thing that Belichick usually likes.
Yeah, they're still working through a lot of that, that's for sure.
Your point about the familiarity is a good one, but I think it's scary when you apply that to the defense, because think about it. The Patriots starting defense, Bill Belichick, and all these, defensive coaches who know Josh McDaniels and they know his offense and what he's running. They know Jarrett Stidham because he played here all these years. They have as much familiarity as McDaniels has with the Patriots offense and Mac Jones, and Jarrett Stidham carved them up. Like, think about that. The familiarity's all same stuff's all there on the Patriots side with their defense, and they couldn't stop Jarrett Stidham.
Nope. Get him back.
It's a fair point.
Like that's
well,
horrifying.
And you know what sucks? It's like
Jarrett
the
Stidham.
injuries and the lack of performance, but then it's also just like the special twist of the knife that it's Jarrett Stidham doing it, that it's Josh McDaniels doing it. I mean that's kind of like the I don't want to call it the cherry, whatever the opposite of the cherry on top is. That's what that is.
Yeah. All right.
Turd in the punch bowl.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
The phone number to call in is 855-PATS-500. You can also email us at webradio@patriots.com, although I need to log back into that because I haven't seen any of these emails yet. So if someone wants to do that for me, that'd be great. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with more of your phone calls and more observations on what's been a really, really rough summer here for your New England Patriots.
This is the Gillette Labs with exfoliating bar. The bar and the handle removes unseen dirt and debris ahead of the blades for effortless shaving in one efficient stroke.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes Cyber Reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Olympia Sports, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including 6 String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment. Explore your inner artist at Muse Paint Bar, watch a movie at Showcase Cinema Deluxe, or grab a controller and start gaming at Helix Esports. For a complete directory listing, please visit patriot-place.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
There's no season better than football season. And there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week. So head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
You know, what's it like for you to see him, coming back in after missing the year and making an impact here in the summer?
I mean, that's my man. He's right here next to me.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Christian Arcan.
Happier times.
Oh yeah, everything's happier times than tonight. I feel like this. I feel like I'm at a funeral. Honestly, like this feels like or not at a feel like the wake before the funeral.
I mean, it's got to be weird for you being at Patriots.com having to lay this all out. It's just.
Yeah.
I mean, not even.
I feel like the angel of death, kind of. Like I came here at this very tough time.
It's been here all summer, though.
It has.
Yeah,
It's
don't
been building to this.
Don't blame yourself.
That is true. We got some more phone calls to get to. We'll hear from Bill Belichick in just a few minutes. The Jarrett Stidham of all this is something that I can't shake. I really can't. Jarrett Stidham, while he was here, could not beat out Cam Newton. And we know how Bill felt about him, and he was a 4th-round draft pick. I just sort of wonder, are we going to see Bailey Zappi killing us in the preseason then 2 years from now or something like that? Because that was you talk about insult to injury.
Yeah, that's it.
That was the loss was the injury. Jarrett Stidham doing it to you was borderline insulting. Like I felt like a personal affront to me as a Patriots fan and someone who was wasn't super impressed by Stidham when it seemed like he was going to be the starter either before they even signed Cam Newton. And he goes out there and, to quote Missy Elliott, put his thing down, flipped it, and reversed it all over the Patriots starters.
Yeah, and he didn't look too great in joint practices, but I mean, I will say you can see why Josh wanted to get him. I mean, he knows, the offense, and I mean, he clearly, he beat out whoever the guy was. They just traded to Minnesota, and they traded one of their backups, because Stidham won that out. So
Nick Mullins.
So it's certainly disheartening. There's a small part of me that feels happy for Jarrett Stidham after tough go here.
We never really got a chance.
Never really
to
got a
see
chance.
him
Got
play.
injured in random places, but but you're right, Arkin. When he played here, it was striking how different to me, like seeing Stidham as a rookie and then seeing Mack as a rookie, and just how much more comfortable Mack, looked. And of course, Stidham's been in the league a few years. Like he's not, some bum that he's won a job clearly as the backup quarterback there for the Raiders. So one of many former Patriots. I do wonder what the conversations are like amongst the former Patriots that are on the Raiders now, being like, so what do you think of the Patriots, huh? Like ask Brandon Bolden that, and off the record, see what he thinks.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes about some of the free agents who signed a couple years ago, like Hunter Henry, looking back at the Chargers, thinking about Jonnu Smith and the Titans. I don't know how good the Titans are going to be this year.
Then they look at their bank account and they're like,
that's true.
Right.
And they took the money and they came here.
And that's the big argument that I have with my boy Felger, who always tells me, everybody says, they won't be able to get anybody to sign here without Brady. And then, if you give them the money, I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
You can get them to sign here, no problem.
You're just like everybody else.
Right.
If you pay the highest amount, you will get guys to sign.
Mm-hmm. It was like
that's the difference. Like when Kendrick Bourne says, "What?" He was asked, "Why'd you sign here?" Because I couldn't believe how much money they gave me.
Right.
I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but the 2 tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, broke records for guaranteed money for tight ends in free agency.
They did.
That's how you get the guys. I mean,
of course.
Matthew Judon got over $50 million.
I'm not saying they shouldn't have signed him or those guys shouldn't have signed here. They should have stayed with their teams. I understand
they
it's a
needed
business.
an influx of talent, absolutely.
I wonder if they're sort of looking at their old teams now and thinking, man, it'd be nice to be in L.A. right now.
Well,
it'd be nice to be on that Chargers team. Money aside, yeah, fine. Obviously, they got paid. I just I wonder about those things because in the past, no Patriots free agent ever thought that.
Yeah, just to share real quick, Evan texted me that him, Fred, and Sosi were walking out, and Josh McDaniels stopped them to say hello. So hopefully they still come back and don't stick with the Raiders. Fred's a new VP of
Well, Fred will probably be mad at McDaniels for life because the last time that McDaniels showed up after beating the Patriots, he's still mad about that.
Can you confirm or deny that he was shaking his ass in their face as he walked by? Because I bet you, I bet a few dollars on that.
Oh man, I'd love to know what that conversation was because I'm sure Freddie was like, "Son, what do you think? I mean, are we gonna be all right? You think? No, I don't know. Oh boy,
I've got a couple of emails here. People saying they're canceling their NFL Sunday ticket. Out of towners don't even want to watch this team.
Come on,
canceling the whole thing.
Maybe
I did give them a couple weeks.
Did you get a refund on that after like week 3?
I don't know. Probably not. Let's go back to the phones. What do you say? Justin is in Virginia. Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, how's it going, guys? For what it's worth, I think you guys were on the good list.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thanks.
All right.
I'm trying to go easy on him, but man.
Part of what scares me about this roster is with our schedule, there's a lot of teams that aren't amazing, and they don't scream like Super Bowl contenders, but I still think you need to be on your P's and Q's to beat them. And when I think of these teams, I think of like the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Colts that have pretty serviceable quarterbacks there, have some athleticism with guys like Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and whatnot. And I think you need to win a lot of those games to just get above 500. And I can't see it right now,
No, and I mean, I look at the first quarter of the season. I mean, at Dolphins, at Steelers, Ravens, at Packers. I don't care if you even had Tom Brady here. Like, those are tough games. Like, every one of those games is pretty tough. Maybe the Steelers a little bit different than what we're used to in the past, but got swept by the Dolphins last year. The Ravens, we know, if they're healthy, they're going to be a much different team than they were last year with Lamar Jackson. And then, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's a long way till you get to the Lions at home on October 9th. Those 4 games are they've got to find something. They got to find it in a hurry if they're going to be competitive in those games.
All right, we got Bill Belichick from the podium, but before we hear from him, a big thank you to our sponsor, Microsoft Surface, the official sideline technology provider and laptop of the NFL and the Patriots that provides players and coaches with the tools to succeed both on and off the field. Check out the powerful Surface Pro 8, combining the power of a laptop with the flexibility of a tablet over at surface.com. All right, and here's Bill Belichick.
All right. Well, we didn't have a real good night tonight in any phase of the game. That's obvious. Might have left it on the practice field on Tuesday and Wednesday. Certainly practiced a lot better than we played out there tonight. So, obviously need to clean up a lot of things here. But just didn't play well in any phase of the game. Didn't play with any kind of consistency. A couple touchdowns, call it back, turn the ball over. Didn't play good defense. Didn't play well in the kicking game. I obviously got to do a better job, and so it starts with me. So we'll get back to work this week and work on things we need to work on. Like I said, it's disappointing because we did things a lot better in practice against the Raiders than we did tonight. So hopefully we can regain that level of execution and performance.
Bill, was it the plan for you guys to play that first offense kind of through the first quarter and into the second there?
Yeah, we played our first group about the first quarter, yeah.
Was that the plan coming in?
When we decided to do it, yeah.
And it may be early on this, but just want to check on Ty Montgomery. Any idea of how serious that might be for him?
Yeah. I don't know.
Bill, what stood out to you from this week about your team that you liked over the course of the week, and how do you get that consistency to where you need it to be come September 11th from your team?
I thought we competed well with the Raiders in all areas. They have a lot of good players. Thought we did some, it wasn't perfect. I mean, I don't say anybody dominated anything, but we were competitive with them. We made a lot of good plays. They made good plays. But tonight we just didn't do much anything right. So, like I said, maybe we left it on the practice field. I don't know, but I've just got to get our team to a more consistent, higher competitive level than we were tonight. So that's what we'll do.
Bill, when it comes to the running game, is there anything that you're noticing that is keeping it from being consistent? It just looked like that first group, just hard to generate much consistency there.
Yeah. Well, again, we had several good runs in practice this week. But yeah, you can say that about every part of the game tonight. No, there wasn't anything that was consistent.
Bills, the numbers get smaller and the roster gets cut down. Is it less difficult to find that consistency, to find continuity, and hone in on some of the things that you'll focus on for the first game?
It's just we just have to perform better, and we got to coach better. We got to play better. I don't think it's any big mystery.
Mac just acknowledged when he was chatting with us that he did get a little bit frustrated at one point coming off the sideline. Is that okay in your eyes? These preseason games are what they are. This time of year is what it is. Or do you preach patience with players if you do see them getting frustrated?
Yeah, I don't know. Sure, everybody has their own emotion.
Bill, kind of one of the things that stood out was in the second quarter, the Hoyer strip sack, J.J. Taylor coming back to recover that. Something that sticks out to you in film you can show the team as far as hustle plays when things are kind of not going your way.
Yeah, I mean, there are always good things in the game. I'm sure there are good things on some of the bad plays that we had. I'm sure there are bad things on some of the good plays we had. But yeah, in the end, it's just too many big mistakes and too many little mistakes. Turn the ball over, get 2 touchdowns called back. Give up a couple big plays on defense that were totally unnecessary, and just our basic fundamental execution in all 3 phases of the game needs to be better. So we need to coach better. We need to play better. Start working on that this week.
Seemed like Anthony Jennings had some extended playing time tonight. What have you seen from him throughout camp and to what he's put on film so far?
Well, again, just kind of like we have all preseason, the guys who didn't practice as much, especially against Carolina and the Raiders, played more, and the guys that practiced more played less. So it's about the way it was for everybody.
Bill, we know you value dependability in players. How much progress do you feel like you've made in terms of determining dependability when it comes to certain plays? Is that something that you can have a good idea of at this time of year?
Yeah, I'm not following you, Phil. Sorry.
Do you feel like there are plays that you guys just plain execute more consistently, whether it's practice or in these preseason games, given what you've seen so far from your team?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I just don't look at it that way. Some plays work good against some defenses, against certain things. Some plays don't. I mean, so I don't say that one play is necessarily great against everything. I have a hard time with that. But I'm sure there are other people, maybe that think differently, which is fine. I think you've got to be able to execute what you need to execute to win in that situation against that opponent in that game. So it changes from game to game for me. I don't think I think it's hard to just, do 3 things in this league and think that's going to be good enough to win. But if that's what some people believe, then that's what they believe. All right. Thanks.
Wow. Really? I mean, I don't just say that like, wow, that was, you don't hear Bill, like you said it, Deuce, like you don't hear Bill talk like that very much.
No, especially after a preseason game. Like
it was a preseason game.
It seemed
yeah.
especially disappointed, and usually kind of sweeps. That felt like a regular season loss. I mean, it almost felt similar to the playoff loss last year, where, just the overall he just kept saying it over and over again. I mean, everything we've been kind of saying, which I guess in a way is, I don't want to say validating because we know what we saw, but yeah, I just it's a little bit striking, and maybe on one hand it's appropriate because this is what it's been, but at the same time it's just they all have to be better, and he realizes it. And time is out. There's no more training camp anymore. So, yeah, I really wonder what they're going to dial up, over the next couple of weeks to try to lock in on what's successful for them. I think maybe it's going to involve that spread. Going spread. That seems like I think that's what Phil was getting at. Maybe at the end of the questions there, where it seems like when Mac's most comfortable, he's got everything kind of in front of him, and it's not under center, play action, trying to find the guy, come up, which is disappointing because you thought you're getting a quarterback that can do a number of things, but they're going to play to their strengths and really kind of hone in on what they believe in. I think maybe the spread offense is going to be the thing that over the next couple of weeks they really focus on and bring down to Miami to try to make that, right out of the gate, start hitting them, spread them out, and hitting them. That's what I would do.
Now, I recognize this may just be my sports hub brain, sort of at work right now. But did I notice a little tone at the end there when he's talking, well, some people might think, I can only do 3 this. Some people might think this. Is there, maybe
I don't know. I mean,
maybe some suggestions were made to him about a different way to try things or something? It seemed like there was something there.
He seems like he does the thing like answer the question you wish you were asked sometimes. But
right. Yeah.
But I mean, I understood what he was saying though. I mean, I don't know. There's a little bit of a gray area there with that. But I do understand what he's saying in terms of the wide zone works great against this, but come into Miami and they've actually got a different kind of defense. Maybe it's not going to work as well. I just think that ultimately what Phil was getting at is like, what can you hang your hat on right now?
What do you feel good about?
And it's hard to say. And I mean, that's why it's a good question. And I mean, obviously not one that he was about to answer, but I think that's what we're all wondering right now is like, what is this offense right now? What is their, I think is Evan wrote, what is their identity? And I think sometimes identity is an evolving thing and, injuries happen and you have to dodge and, change things. But right now, it's just you can't look at like the running game and be like, well, we still feel pretty good about that. Like, all right, at least Damian Harris will be able to run. You don't know, and there's a lot of questions, and the injuries have just compounded things even worse, just with Montgomery and Meyers.
If Phil wanted to be a dink there, which he's not, like Phil's a good guy, but if he wanted to be a dink, and this is again my stupid sports brain at work, when he said, well, it's not one play that we just call that works. We try things that work against certain defenses. Phil could have been like, what worked tonight against this defense? What exactly? Like, can you be specific?
Phil, I know,
like, what
Phil,
worked tonight?
I know. I've already been there, Phil. But I know.
Really?
It all didn't work.
Like, come on. Yeah, that's probably what you
tricky
get.
though, Paul. I know you were running around for a second there, though. But I mean, to me, that just
smells like a brewery out here.
We're right next to the Kenny Chesney beer, like alcohol room.
Yeah.
Like there's just like vodka and drunk girls over there. Like they were doing like during the game, somebody was getting tested for fun.
Yeah,
like alcohol tested for fun.
Yeah, one of the stadiums
sobriety test
field
for fun.
sobriety test. Yeah,
like I don't know what's going on. I wish I was with them though. That might have made this game a little bit more tolerable.
Oh, that definitely would have made this one better.
What happened? Patriots lost.
Who cares? Let's try the phones again here at 855-PATS-500. That's the number if you'd like to chime in. We're on till 1 o'clock. You can also email us at webradio@patriots.com. We'll get to your emails in just a little bit. Let's try Mark, who is out in California. Hello, Mark.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Yeah.
It's 12:15 after a brutal preseason
After
game.
just a terrible the whole preseason's been bad. No one's feeling great here. Mark, what's up?
Well, hey, long-time listener, first-time caller, but Josh McDaniels used to talk about in the preseason, you get halfway through, maybe two-thirds of the way through, and you kind of identify those things that aren't working, and so you kind of stop doing those, you cut those out. Do you think we're going to see that anytime soon, or are they going to just roll into the preseason, kind of stubbornly, just still trying to do this spread, or rather this,
the Shanahan offense?
Well, I mean, I think I think it's the wide zone and stuff. I mean, I think. Look, I don't think that they're that stubborn. I think that they will try to find the roots of what they've been good at, which, as I said, I think is the spread offense. I mean, that's where Mac has looked the most comfortable. If there's ever been anything consistent this summer, it's that he seems like doing what he did at Alabama. That's his bread and butter. Yeah. So, I think there could be more RPO stuff. I think we might not have seen any RPO stuff. We've seen a little bit of it, but I think that could be something Mac did well in college that they would not want to show us during training camp, that over the next couple of weeks they could start to build. But I think they're going to lean into the spread, and and then go from there and build off of that. Especially, with the injury loss though, it complicates things, because I think Montgomery's a good spread running back, and Harris, Stevenson not so much. So it doesn't exactly make it easy on you.
All right, let's read a quick email here, because we're getting chirped by Dolphins fans now.
Oh, wow.
And Tyler, a Dolphins fan, says, "Dear Patriots radio show, It's just one collective radio show. I am a Dolphins fan, but I really want to know, what are some improvements the Patriots need to make for Week 1 at Miami, and what will happen specifically to Mac if those improvements aren't made? Sincerely, Dolphin dealer, P.S. Fake Hardy, nice teal shirt. Not because of the Dolphins, just a really nice shirt. Hey, thank you, Tyler, the Dolphin guy. Wasn't thinking Dolphins with it. Just thought, blend in with the Kenny Chesney crowd.
Well, Tyler, you know exactly what's happening. I mean, you guys have beaten the Patriots, 3 out of the last 5 times? I mean,
when Brady was here, you kicked the Patriots'
ass. You swept
in
the Patriots last year. They didn't. 2019, you cost them home field advantage.
3 in a row, right?
Yeah.
3 in a row. I mean, the only time they got you was with Cam Newton on Week 1 of 2020 in the COVID season with no preseason.
I think it's 3 in a row and 4 out
of
5.
I mean, I know you're joking and giving us a hard time, but I mean, you guys have outplayed the Patriots. So I mean, it's just going to be more of the same. And I mean, it's based on what it's looked like right now. It's hard for me to sit here and say, I'm going to pick the Patriots Week 1 to roll in there and suddenly bust out a competent offense, with the additions that you've made with Tyreek Hill. So, good luck. But hey, I think you guys are, should be pretty confident heading to Week 1 based on how things looked here in New England over the
Dolphins
summer.
watching this got to be licking their chops. I mean, really, just doing backflips.
Mike and I have talked about
it's
this a little bit,
deceiving though, because they're not doing anything. It's
true, man.
So Miami is doing the same thing. They're implementing a new offense, and it happens to be the same offense that the Patriots are trying to do.
But they're implementing it with an actual coach who ran the offense, knew how to do it.
Exactly, the same principles anyway. But yeah, this is my point about Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. You could pick one, but neither one of them is the architect of the offense. Is the word that you used when you talked about Josh. And I think that's the difference. Mike McDaniel, he didn't come up with the scheme. He didn't do Mike Shanahan's scheme that has sort of taken over the league with Kyle and Sean McVay and all the acolytes, LaFleur. But those guys were in that system. They were immersed in it. And Mike McDaniel now, I don't know if he's going to be a good head coach, because you never know until a guy is a head coach if he can do everything. But I know he can do that offense because he was in it.
And plus, throw the offenses out. Who's got more talent? Who's got the players that
See, this is what happens when Deuce gets in a bad place, Christian. Deuce
stack
gets in bad, dark places.
Especially without Meyers and Montgomery. I mean, it's just there's no secret. And I mean the Dolphins thing, it bugs me more than anything, because everybody acts like the Patriots are the second best team in the division, and you're looking, you've lost to Miami.
So
you don't
when
have
you came
the
back
answers.
from Vegas, I got you a little of my thing. I was looking at the Sports Illustrated preview, right? Football preview. And the AFC East comes out, and it's Buffalo.
Right.
Patriots 10-7. Can Buffalo take control of the AFC East? Is the headline. And
how about maintain control of the AFC?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, Buffalo has won the division. 2 years ago by 5 games.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. The Patriots obviously were in position to win the division last year, but they fell short. They couldn't finish the deal. Anybody that watched those last 2 meetings between Buffalo and New England can't possibly think it was a fluke that Buffalo won the AFC East. So I don't.
No, they thought it was a fluke that the Patriots won that game in the weather. Yeah, that's what they thought.
Of course it was. So I just don't understand why there are still some people, and I'm not talking about Patriots fans. I'm talking about people that shouldn't be connected. You shouldn't be emotionally invested. Patriots fans that think the Patriots are going to be fun. That's part of being a fan. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Believe me, I've been there. I've been there. I've rooted for this team my whole life, and there were times that I was a couple things fall into place. We're going to make the play. Believe me, I've talked myself into a lot of things as a fan. I root for Northeastern, for God's sakes. I know they're pretty good now, but it wasn't always the case. You could talk yourself into a lot of things as a fan, but as a national sort of NFL follower, how you look at the Patriots in Buffalo are kind of similar, but the Patriots in Miami are different. The Patriots are not. And he says the Patriots are the only team in the division that has a chance to threaten Buffalo. I don't really understand that.
I don't really get that either.
Connor Orr. Remember, I was, as Mike walks into my office, fresh off his red eye, Christian, I was feverishly trying to look up where Connor Orr was from, because I'm convinced it's got to be like Newton.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Connor Orr other than he's been getting a lot of bylines in in Sports Illustrated.
Sure.
I don't know the gentleman.
I wish I could. Was it Tyler that wrote in from Miami? I'd like to know how he feels just about Buffalo. Does he think that how close does he think they are to Buffalo?
Miami can't even compete. You've seen the games that Buffalo has absolutely beaten the bag out of Miami the last 3 years.
Yeah.
The games aren't even competitive.
Buffalo and it's everybody else really is what this division
I don't even
is.
know if they've had a punt. Oh wait,
that was the Jets. No, the
See
Jets.
what you did there.
No, us. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I'm wondering if Mac Jones will have a better season than Tua this year, because you don't hear it very often, but like Tannenbaum talked about Mac as like an MVP candidate. You know, he's done that a couple of times.
Yeah, see,
and I remember hearing that and laughing.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And then thinking,
that
can he
should
be
not.
the
How
second
can that
best?
happen?
Yeah.
Like if a Patriots fan says, you know what, I think Mac's going to take the leap. He's going to be. But you could talk yourself into that. That's part of the emotion that comes with it. Mike Tannenbaum's a former GM who clearly is like really, really, trying to get back on Belichick's good side after the whole thing with the Spygate that he was implicated in, and he's saying stupid stuff like that. Like
He's
you're on
saying it like every week.
You're on ESPN, and you're telling me that you legitimately think that Mac Jones is an MVP candidate.
If he says it again after this game.
I mean, and that's
Imagine if
that's why
I still think so.
I think that's why last year was was eye-opening, because they went on the win streak and everybody was on board with that. Everybody was like, they're back. This is it, and then it ended.
Ryan Clark, the Patriots going to mess around and go to the Super Bowl. Okay, if you haven't watched these 7 games and figured out that some of them have been really good performances, others have been kind of circumstantial. Fine, whatever.
Right, but at a certain point, it's just a tonnage issue of poor performances, of fading down the stretch. Of not even really being competitive with Buffalo for 2 years, for losing out however many games you've lost to Miami. So, at what point does the tide turn for the Patriots? When do they start to find it? Because
they're 1-4
don't
in their last 5 games against both Buffalo and Miami. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, but Bill always tells us it starts in the division.
Yeah.
And that's what I always go back to. Like, what are you spending your offseason doing? Like thinking about Josh Allen and Tua, I hope, thinking about stopping RPOs, thinking about, all the different things. How can we change our personnel to match up better? And I mean, and credit to Josh Allen. I mean, you could have the best defense in the world, and that guy is so good and so big and so tough that, he's still going to make his plays, but it's just there's been no progress. And that's like, well, what are we doing then? If we're not focusing on beating Miami and Buffalo, well, all due respect to the Jets, what are we doing?
So we are 5-0 against the Jets.
It's true.
That's right. That's right, everybody.
Mims wants out.
Suck it.
Let's talk to Abel in Washington, D.C. before we take another break here. Abel, hello. Abel going once.
Are you able to hear us?
D.C., hello.
Abel going twice. Abel is gone. All right, let's try Roger in Kentucky then before the break. Roger, hi.
Good job. Is this Andy?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Good. No. I guess I'm good
Hey,
now.
I just wanted to say something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disappointed in everybody being so negative on the Patriots. Me and 2 buddies of mine think that the Patriots are going to go at least 13-4.
Why?
Okay. Yeah, why do you think that?
Hey, Paul, I got a question for you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me who my 2 buddies are.
Who are your 2 buddies?
Who are your 2 buddies?
Smith and Wesson?
Sam Adams and Jim Beam.
Hey!
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
Nicely done.
Very good. You know what? That's a good call to take a break on, because I don't know if we're going to top that tonight.
No.
That was some good old Kentucky humor right there. I don't know why. That region of the country has been
brings
calling
all the
in for me.
Kentucky
Hardy, they
so
don't
you know
like Hardy.
what's funny is
They like me.
I feel bad that I didn't give Roger, I think, what he was looking for. I think Roger was thinking Paul's going to go ballistic when I say they're going to go 13-4.
Oh.
And I was kind of like, after I just said, like, that's fine if you're a fan.
Yeah.
Like, you talk yourself into again. I've been there a million times, and that's what I thought he was doing. And I ruined his joke.
That's all right. It still landed. The number
he landed the plane.
Oh, big time. The number is 855-PATS-500. We got open phone lines if you'd like to grab one. webradio@patriots.com is the email address. We'll take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll hear from Mac Jones. We'll see if he was trying to cope as much as Bill Belichick was. That's all coming up right after this here on Patriots Postgame, presented by Cyber Reason.
This is the Gillette Labs with exfoliating bar. The bar and the handle removes unseen dirt and debris ahead of the blades for effortless shaving in one efficient stroke.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and cloud. It takes cyber reason and cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Olympia Sports, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including Six String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment. Explore your inner artist at Muse Paint Bar, watch a movie at Showcase Cinema Deluxe, or grab a controller and start gaming at Helix eSports. For a complete directory listing, please visit patriot-place.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
There's no season better than football season. And there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week. So head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
It's all good, baby.
It's all good.
Was it all good tonight?
It was okay. You know, I think the first.
Boy, that took a turn.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Christian Arcan.
I'd say it probably was not all good tonight, Hardy. If I had to go either good or not all good, I'd probably go with the latter there. Not all good. Nothing was good. There really wasn't much to hold your hat on. I had one good thing in the good, bad, and the injured. I know, Paul, you reached a little bit for some more stuff, but I think all in all, there's a reason why the tone of this sort of post-game show and why Bill Belichick, the way he sounded was, I thought, pretty different from how he usually sounds after a preseason game. Like, he had a couple of dismissive answers with Perry at the end there, but there was a couple of times where it just sort of said, like, he forced a smile at the end and, you know, of some of his answers and just kind of seemed, I don't want to say, like, broken, but kind of broken. Like, you know, like almost like this whole summer is just really taking a toll on him.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Sam? Am I crazy?
I think he's really frustrated.
Yeah.
I do. I think, you know, and it's part of that buy-in that I think Mike Giardi, tweeted about earlier and you talked about in the pregame, Christian. Look, I think Mac will eventually be the least of the team's problems because I think he will bounce back from this. I think he will get it. But my questions about Mac are, like, how much can he be the reason that you have success, as opposed to if you have everything in place, he will keep you on that track. I think he's excellent.
And won't lose you with a game.
I think he's excellent at that, but I think a lot of guys can do that.
Yeah.
I think right now they need a guy that's going to lift them through this, and I don't know if he can do that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know that even if things had progressed naturally from last season, like if he had a good step forward from last season, I'm still not sure that he's what you're just described. Like, you know, and a step back, I don't need to tell you what a step back is. He was a fringe top 15 quarterback going into this year. A step back is fringe top 20, and then you're down there with the Jameis Winstons of the world, you know, like that. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be on that tier of quarterback in this league, especially when you were a Pro Bowler last year. And not a real Pro Bowler, but a Pro Bowl. He played in the Pro Bowl, you know, like
easy.
There's a difference between going to the Pro Bowl and being a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
He went to the Pro Bowl.
He did. He went to the Pro Bowl. He was the quarterback of a playoff team.
It's fun.
That's true.
Good place to start. You know, those are two good things to have on your resume, and I feel like neither one of those things are going to be close to happening.
I do feel like it's hard to evaluate Mac and divvy up the responsibility, but I think he's got a piece of the pie, just like the offensive line has a piece of the pie, and just like the way that they've restarted this offense. I mean, I like I've said many times, I don't fault them for having to hit the reset button on the offense and have to change it, but I just think the methodology that they've done it and what you're seeing right now is that they don't look coordinated. I mean, that's, like a simple way to put it. They don't look like they're all on the same page. The protection looks a little off.
Yeah.
Mac isn't feeling the pocket.
It's everything.
He's not
right
seeing
now.
the field right. The guys aren't really getting open. It doesn't really feel like things are happening, where a pass is completed and then you see the play kind of really hit into action with the blocking and everything. It's just, the plays that happen, they squeeze them out, contested catches. It's like, how many things were easy tonight? Even the successful things, not many.
Yeah, really not many at all. Mac Jones looking frustrated, chucking his surface, ripping off his wristband with the plays on it. He talked to the media. Here is Mac Jones.
Good. Mac, what do you take away from the 4 series that you got with the first offense tonight?
Yeah, I think we all wish we played better, but at this point we just have to evaluate the film and see what we can do better. And we're trying to get it all together, and it's going to happen. It's just we want to go out there and execute better. That's all it comes down to. I mean, individually, I think we all can play better, and then once that happens, collectively it'll look a lot better. So good drive at the end. Obviously, wish we scored, but we want to try and do that every drive and keep the consistency there, and just not a good enough effort from us and from me. So obviously you have to do a better job, and it's one game, one day, so you can look at it and dwell on it or just kind of learn from it and move on.
Mac, we saw you frustrated a couple of times on the sideline. What's kind of your process of getting over that so it doesn't carry over into the next series?
Yeah, I think I care a lot about this game, and I sometimes get a little bit too passionate, but at the same time, that's a great point. Don't let it carry over, and I don't think I did that after the interception and all that. I try to just clean the plate and start fresh. And sometimes that's getting the frustration out and then moving on. So obviously I need to do a better job of just playing the next play and don't let one little play get frustrated. It's the preseason and you don't know how many plays you're going to play, but it doesn't really matter. You need to just go out there and give your best effort every play. And sometimes it is hard to find a rhythm, but that's what you got to do regardless of how much you're going to play. So we can do better with that, and we will.
It's good to have a passionate quarterback. I'll tell you that right now. Can you use this game as a wake-up call to get ready for the regular season?
Yeah, I think it wasn't very good out there, and we're all going to come together and be strong. I hate saying it's the preseason, but there's a lot you can learn from preseason games, and it's not like we're in the middle of the season here, so you want to peak when you want to peak, and right now we're where we are, and we're going to just keep growing and climb the mountain, and that starts with me, that starts with the players, and then obviously the coaches. The coaches are giving really good effort. They're doing everything they can to put us in position, and we just got to do a better job of playing better out there, and everybody's working hard, but it doesn't matter if you can't perform on game day. So we got to put it on the field and put the performance on the field and bring it all together.
Mac, we're so used to seeing you hit the top of the drop, balls out, right?
Mm-hmm.
The timing being really in sync. We haven't necessarily seen that, at least it doesn't feel like it. I don't know if you agree with that or if you can point to anything that kind of suggests why that's happening a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, with this year, tonight specifically, just I got to do a better job just stepping up and delivering the throws too. So it's not all how it looks sometimes. Right now we're trying to just run plays and see what we could do. It's not like we're out there trying to scheme everything up. So, sometimes that plays a factor. It's you just got to go out there and execute the plays that are called, and we know what we're trying to do, and we're trying to just run our base stuff and see what we could do with it. So sometimes it doesn't look as good as you want, but at the end of the day, we need to be able to execute base plays, scheme plays, all that stuff. So it definitely needs to look better, and I got to do a better job just getting the ball out and stepping up in the pocket instead of running around and putting my line in a bad position. That's something I always pride myself is, hey, I'm going to be right here behind the center, and you guys block for me and do your thing. So we got good players up there, and we'll watch the tape, and I got to explain what I see and all that. So,
Mac, obviously everything changes between now and September 11th. Where do you
want this, or what needs to happen between now and September 11th for this team, for your offense to be where you need it to be to get points and get going here?
Yeah, I think it starts, with me and just doing the individual things right. And then once 10 other guys do it right, then we'll have a collective football play, So we need to do that more consistently. And it's not about rah-rah speeches and things like that. It's just pure execution. And we're going to work on it, and we're going to grind through it. And I think it's good to kind of be where we are and just learn from everything and have good conversations. That's the important part, is don't sit there and just say that it was bad. I mean, it is what it is. You got to, all right, what happened on this specific play? What could I have done better? What could we have done better as a group? What could have been explained better? Whatever. It's just all attacking each problem and finding a solution. So a lot of that needs to be done in this next couple weeks, and we're going to do it, and we're going to put our best foot forward and make it happen.
It's still football, though. Are you excited for the opener?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, it's real football now, and it's the season, and we just got to practice well and put a good piece together, and then whenever we play, we play. We know that we have, every day at practice, we have a chance to go out there and be better than the last day, and I felt like we were building some good momentum, and now we just need to continue to do that and learn from this and move on.
Mac, you mentioned the coaches are doing their best to put you guys in good position. How much has Joe been helping you on the sidelines? It looks like he's the guy you're sitting right next to on the bench in between series there.
Yeah, I think Joe's done a good job. I think he has a unique perspective, like I always talk about, and he's coached a lot of football, and to be able to talk with him, and we're kind of finding that groove of what type of person I am. I'm competitive. Sometimes, we just need a little break and then talk, and then from there, he's very good at explaining calmly, all right, hey, what did you see? And the thing that I respect about him a lot is he understands that I'm the guy with the ball, and a lot of people can see different things, but he knows that I saw what I saw and did what I did for a certain reason, and I respect that. He sees that, and a lot of coaches, that's one big thing that they can't always see is, hey, I really felt this on this play, and then he sees that and realizes it, and it's really good. So we just got to keep building, and he's done a great job. We're just trying to work on my fundamentals and practice, and he's done good. Just explaining me, like, step up in the pocket and use my legs and all that. So he's done a good job, and we're going to grow, and we're going to figure it out and continue to grow and have those good conversations.
And what about Matt Patricia?
Yeah, well? Matty P. Great coach, and once again, we're working through everything, how to see it the same way, and he has a unique perspective, and I think that's one thing is those guys are just grinders, and they've been grinding since forever, it seems like, and they're up there at 2 in the morning trying to get everything done and figure everything out and just grinding through it, and I respect that. And we're going to give our best as players to be better and just execute simple plays or the hard plays really well and put them in a good position, and they've done a good job just staying positive and coaching us and understanding the group that we have. So we have a good group of coaches, and we're going to come together and just knock this thing out. So all good. Thanks, guys. See ya.
All right, that was Mac Jones speaking to the media there, and there's a lot to take away from what he said. You want to reverse sort of engineer this, guys, and talk about that coach stuff at the end? Because I know those quotes are going to make the rounds. It seems to me like Mac Jones is kind of forced to have to talk about these guys in these terms when things aren't working. And it's like Matty P is the most brilliant football mind I've ever had. But, well, today Joe Judge was the guy I was sitting next to on the bench, and I don't know. I mean, he's great too. And all these guys are just so great. But for some reason, this offense just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like,
something's not great.
This is and the other thing that stood out, and we'll get back to that in a second. Are you excited for the opener? Yeah. Yeah. Like, Mac, did you brush your teeth? Yeah, I brushed it. Like, well, come on, get off my back. Yeah, I'm excited for the opener.
That's the part of it that I think is the most unfair to Mac,
yeah.
is that he is constantly having to answer questions about the coaches.
Yeah.
And it's not about the scheme that they're running. It's not about the personnel that they have or anything like that. Like the line's letting them down. Yeah, all that's part of being a quarterback. You deal with what you have. Quarterbacks shouldn't have to be constantly answering questions about who's calling the plays, who's talking to you on the sideline, what's your relationships like with all of these guys, what kind of confidence level do you have in the it's not fair to him.
No.
That part I don't think is fair to him.
I think,
and I'm not saying that the questions are unfair. I'm saying it's not fair that he's in this position that he has
But
to
if they want the
this.
questions to stop, go play good football. And then people won't keep asking you, how is it all working? Because it is working. And then they'll be asking you, wow, how did you put together that 10-play, 95-yard drive to win the game? Those will be the questions. So, it's up to them to at some point start executing. And, I'm seeing, Tommy Curran coming. I have no idea how they're going to turn this thing around. I don't know how anybody who's watched them for the last month has any kind of clue of what is going to happen in the next 2 weeks when they get out there in Miami. But, until they fix it, if this continues to be a problem, they're going to continue to get questioned about it. And because if it's not working, clearly it's not working. It doesn't look coordinated. It doesn't look like everybody's on the same page. The offensive line can't block. So, at some point they got to kick into gear, or they're just going to continue to ask about it and why it's not working.
I thought it was interesting what he said about how Joe Judge, he really respects how Joe Judge lets him say, I'm the guy with the ball. That whole answer was a weird answer. I was trying to think, what play is he talking about?
I'll tell you what answer I thought was what part of that answer I thought was weird when he
other coaches.
Well, he talked. Well, when he talks calmly, about what
Sometimes he's very mean to me.
Well, but I think I think that was intentional because Joe Judge has a reputation of being a little bit
gruff,
gruff and hot-headed. Certainly was
Sandy
when he was the special teams coach, and he was with the Giants, right? So I thought that was sort of an intentional inclusion. No, he tells me calmly,
No, I didn't know.
I don't know. Maybe that's reading.
No, it's not.
To me, it felt like he started walking down one of those roads where he's like, "Oh crap! I wish I hadn't started walking down this road right now." And then he kind of had to do the thing with other coaches don't always see it that the quarterback what was he trying to say? It's still a process for him with the media with Mac. But
I think it was a shot at Josh.
I don't know, maybe
could have been. Yeah. Although I didn't quite follow what he was trying to say there.
No,
he said, I'm the one with the ball, and I see what I see, and he really lets me sort of say that and see that. And it's like, is he talking about the interception right there? Because that's not good coaching.
Right.
If you're just like, well, you saw what you saw, don't worry about it. That was a good throw.
The thing I went back to was, I remember talking about Brady, how Brady would come over to the sidelines and say, what did you see on this play?
Right.
And they'd be like, that's what it was.
That's how Brady first ingratiated himself with Bill. Absolutely. He would ask him what he saw, and he would tell him exactly what he saw, and Bill would look and say,
"Yeah,
that's what happened."
To explain why he did it, and I think Mac was, implying that some coaches would be like, "That's not what you saw."
And that's part of the buzzword, the punchline right now is the process. The process. That's part of what Bill's talking about with, not being results oriented, and obviously the interception is not a good example because that was not a good process. It was not a good play. It was not a good throw. It was not a good decision. There was nothing right about that play. But Bill's talking about that. Why did you throw it there where it ended up getting tipped and picked off? Well, because the safety on the backside was over the top, and I didn't have that. And this guy was flooding the zone underneath, and I didn't have that. This guy was open. I just didn't make a good throw. And, Bill will look at something like that. If it's right, again, it's not necessarily always about the results. Obviously, the result is the only thing that matters come game time. But that's what Bill's looking for, the process. Did you do it the right way?
Mm-hmm. I have a question. What order did they speak in? I know which order we played them, but is that the order that they spoke in tonight?
No,
or was it Mac?
I think Mac went first.
So Mac went first and then Bill. Okay, the reason why I asked that is because Bill twice, and we already discussed this, but twice said we may have left it all in practice. Mac didn't say that.
No.
Mac didn't even hint at that.
Mac had big, we're obviously not scheming, comments in the middle. I said to Mike,
but he never implied that. Practice was so good that this was no big deal. He
didn't say that. I do think that those kinds of comments are kind of strange to me, and the reason why they perk up my antenna is because they're very anti-Patriot things. Bill is not generally a silver linings kind of guy. He'll tell you, we didn't coach good enough, we didn't play good enough. We have a lot to, we practiced well. Could you see him after a game, that they lost, saying that, we had a really good week of practice, we just didn't play well?
That whole thing struck me as bizarre. And especially with having
Very
been there
weird
at
comment,
the practice, it wasn't like they were lighting up the Raiders back and forth. It didn't look that much different than what we saw tonight. So, I don't know. I haven't seen Bill like that in a press conference in a preseason.
I think he feels like he needs to prop these guys up. I think that the morale is down right now, and I think that's what it's about.
All right, we got a couple more minutes left to go here. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go through some of your emails here in the postgame. It is Patriots Postgame presented by Cyber Reason. We'll be right back.
This is the Gillette Labs with exfoliating bar. The bar and the handle removes unseen dirt and debris ahead of the blades for effortless shaving in one efficient stroke.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes cyber reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Olympia Sports, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including 6 String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment. Explore your inner artist at Muse Paint Bar, watch a movie at Showcase Cinema Deluxe, or grab a controller and start gaming at Helix eSports. For a complete directory listing, please visit patriot-place.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
There's no season better than football season. And there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week. So head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
It's going to be Matt Laurie. He's going to have that button in his desk to lock the door.
Oh, Matt who? Matt Lauer. You have to learn how to speak Fred.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Christian Arcan.
That was an interesting rejoin right there. It's Christian Arcan here. This is the Patriots Postgame presented by Cyber Reason. It's myself, Deuce, and Paul Perillo. As we wrap things up here, there's an email I wanted to read, and we'll just sort of start this last segment off with this because I think it's sort of a good general question that we can kind of go off with. Well, you know what? I'll just tell you the subject. The subject is, are we surprised? Are we surprised?
I'm a little surprised.
You are?
Yeah.
Are you surprised that it's this bad, but are we surprised that things haven't come together as much as it's a new offense with these coaches and everything? Like, is this really a surprise?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I thought it'd be better. I didn't think that, am I surprised that they don't look like they're going to set the world on fire? Not really. I mean, it's preseason. I don't need it to look perfect, but
I don't care about
I don't
the
need it to look
results.
this bad, and this just consistently inconsistent.
But this
That's
has been,
what's surprising.
20 appearances that we've seen, 16,
no
17
progress.
practices, three games, and I would say they all largely have looked the same, like ragged.
I just feel like you should do 20 times. You should be better at it.
If you told me that Bill Belichick thinks that it's time to change the offense, streamline the offense, make some alterations, he would be doing so under the assumption that it will look fine. Not that they're going to hit the ground and score 550 points and set records. No. But it would look fine. It would look like a presentable offense.
Right.
It hasn't. Yep. That surprises me.
Yep.
I'm not that surprised. I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
Again, we know where I work, and it's on sort of the conversation every day. But I just sort of feel like coming into this year, there was a lot of reasons to be sort of optimistic about Mac Jones in the second year with the offense. But once the coaching situation kind of came into view, and after a couple of weeks of practice and the reports coming out, I mean, I guess that all is sort of part of it. So am I surprised it didn't work from the jump? I guess a little bit, but like once that started happening,
this bad in the spring.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe
Right?
yeah.
With like 7-on-7 and no competition.
Agreed.
Shorts and t-shirts.
Well, I read the subject of that
Yeah.
email. This is from Josh in Arizona. He goes on to say, did we delude ourselves with the offense? Joe Judge's Giants were anemic, terrible offense. Matty P's Lions not far behind. Belichick last decade, hands off, leaving the offense to Brady and McDaniels. Was it a mistake to think he could step in after so long and save the day?
Well, I mean, hands off. Are we sure about that? Like, are we sure that Bill Belichick wasn't, involved in all that? Like,
I think he's very heavily involved.
I think he's heavily involved in everything. So, I don't fault them for changing. I can't beat the dead horse with it, but I just don't know how they went about it. Would it look better if they had, say, hired Adam Gase and just had him as like, this is what our offense is going to be. We're going to give it over to Adam Gase. It might look a little bit better.
I would feel better
but,
about it.
I don't know. I don't know for sure that it would all start clicking right away.
Yeah, and I don't know if Adam Gase would be doing this offense, and maybe that's a non-starter. I don't know, but I would feel better if there was an offensive coach.
Right.
I would feel better if Nick Caley was involved, and I don't even know if he's qualified.
Right. But it's somebody.
But he's an
it's one
offensive
voice.
coach.
Yeah.
That's sort of. I mean.
Yeah.
I would feel better, and Christian's right. Like, as you've seen a couple of weeks now of struggles, it's sort of making you second guess even more the decision. Because everybody second guessed the decision to go with Patricia and Judge as offensive coaches.
Sure.
Now that's magnified.
Oh, absolutely.
If they had hired an offensive coordinator and made Patricia the offensive line coach, and that's all they did, you know what I mean? Like, if that's everyone would be like, "What the hell?" But what are you doing? But at least there's an offensive coordinator. At least there's a voice.
And I'll tell you something that kind of worried me.
Above his, like
Mike Lombardi, when one of Belichick's Bobos. When Mike Lombardi came out, it was a couple of months ago. We had that long thing about how it's not going to be Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator because the offensive line coach can't do that.
When even he is like befuddled.
So he said something pretty definitively about how it works on an offense in the NFL. And Matt Patricia, maybe he's not the offensive coordinator, but he's heavily involved in the process of play calling, of communicating. So who's the offensive line coach? This gets back to how persnickety Bill got when someone asked him about David Andrews spending all that time coaching on the sideline. Right. Well, he's a captain. People are asking because they're wondering, is David Andrews helping coaching? Because the guy that is the coach is busy calling plays.
Yeah.
That's why people are asking. And not because we don't think David Andrews is a great leader.
Right, and especially now when you're seeing like major issues with the offensive line and not – young guys not really developing right now. I mean, Cole Strange. I mean, I think we were all like, hey, let's just pencil him in thinking he's going to be the next Logan Mankins or Joe Tooney who just walks in and locks down the left guard spot for the next 10 years. But you said it tonight. I mean, for second play of the game that he gets beat. So, if you're not developing your players and now, and I feel like I'm one of the only people who
really got bull rushed on one of those pass rushes too.
Right.
He got knocked down.
But I feel like, I feel. Go ahead. I'll let you wrap.
All right. Well, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up then because
I hate when we lose out on Angry Deuce.
Yeah. Well, I think we got a good dose of.
I might have to save him because it's going to be a long season.
Yeah. I think you're right about that.
It's such a dark place.
I mean, listen. Bill's in a dark place. Mac's in a dark place. Everybody's in a dark place. It was a dark summer.
Cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
It's really true. Anyways, guys, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. You might be hearing me back a couple of times over the course of the regular season, unless the Patriots say no more review because, we all saw what happened here tonight.
There's no different tonight than it has been the last 2 weeks.
Well, okay, good. Anyways, for Paul Perillo, Mike Dussault, and Hardy, who's not here, I'm Christian Arcand, Matt Morrell, Matt LePan. Great job, as always, for you guys. We'll talk to you September 11th. Patriots pregame and postgame as the regular season starts up. Hopefully it'll be better than this preseason was because this preseason sucked. All right, that's all for us. Thanks to all the callers and the emailers. Good night.